Scalper Group clears out Phantasmal Flames from the Pokemon Center before it even releases. That's right, you heard that correctly. Phantasmal Flames got scalped even before it was available to purchase online. The Pokemon hobby is getting absolutely ridiculous at this stage. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this article by PokeBeach because there are some crazy people out there that have botted 42,000 units of Phantasmal Flames prior to the Pokemon Center release. So, if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the best Pokemon content, make sure you're subscribed and let's jump into the video. So, PokeBeach has reported on this, stating that Phantasmal Flames has not launched at the Pokemon Center or major retailers yet. However, this morning its products were preloaded into the Pokemon Center's backend in preparation for the launch. For over an hour, scalper groups were somehow able to trick the checkout system into selling them the products. So this wasn't even live to the greater community yet. It was just in the back end of the Pokemon Center website, and a group, a Discord group that is basically full of bots, was somehow able to get into that back end of the system and check out for some of these products. It states that one Discord group named Hidden Society was able to collectively purchase at least 42,000 Phantasmal Flames products. In a message to paid members, a group admin, Rob Ye West, bragged, "This is our holiday season. Let the criers cry and the whiners whine. They can go tell their moms what happened today while we reap the profits." And there's actually a bit of a screenshot here of that conversation and what that looks like inside that group where the botters are actually present. So obviously this is one of the admins in the Discord group. He runs it, or I guess admins or mods in it. And he's telling everyone that they've had over 15,000 checkouts from what we can see so far. Once our polling catches up, we'll post final numbers. And then later on, he's stated that 42,000 items were checked out. So you can obviously see why this is potentially dangerous to the Pokemon hobby. There are so many people out here that are going to want this Phantasmal Flame set, not just for the Charizard, but for the Gengar and everything else that comes along with it. So if 42,000 products were able to be checked out via the bots, there was always a chance that no one in the actual real world was going to be able to check out on the Pokemon Center. All the products were going to be eaten up by these bots before anything actually happened. But we'll get to what happened in just a minute because it is actually pretty funny. All right, just going to jump in here real quick and say thank you to today's video sponsor, which is PokeNotify. Now, the difference between PokeNotify and these botting discords that we're talking about is that PokeNotify doesn't check out for you. They are just telling you when products are going to be restocking. And this can be a useful tool, especially if you're going against botters or anyone that potentially can be checking out quicker than you. Knowing when things are going to come up for order is definitely to your advantage. Now, there are a ton of collectors like myself out there that have missed out on so many products purely because of people knowing when things are going to drop and myself not being able to see that information. So PokeNotify has offered a 3-day free trial down in the description below. They've also offered a discount for anyone using my code TWISTED25 that does get started with the paid service. PokeNotify obviously still has to apply to the limits of these websites when you're ordering. They are just an information-based service. They're not actually doing the checkout process for you. So shout out to PokeNotify for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you check them out. They will let you know when things are restocking at like your Targets, your Walmarts, your Best Buys, and all those kind of places so that you can be ahead of the game to check out those products. So the group openly markets itself as the ultimate tool for upcoming entrepreneurs, providing exclusive information across various trending topics that put money into our members' pockets. Now, this pretty much is just a scalping tool, right? They would use the bots to be able to get the products before anyone else can actually check out, guaranteeing their orders, and that way they can pretty much control the market by having all of the supply available. You think of Pokemon Center ETBs, those are only available once, sometimes twice. And if they're all being checked out by these bots for these specific people using these Discord groups, then it's always tricky because it's going to come back to pretty much no one else being able to get the product. And when it's an exclusive product like a Pokemon Center ETB and it's got a stamped promo, that's potentially dangerous in a big way. So it says that it remains unclear if the Pokemon Center canceled the group's early orders. In private messages shown to PokeBeach, one of the group's admins told another staff member, "Just tell everyone the orders got cancelled so people stop talking about it." Shortly after, screenshots began to circulate of alleged cancelled orders. Some of the group's admins have since deactivated their social media accounts following public backlash. Unfortunately, it is difficult for online stores to combat scalping groups. They often employ bot networks that spoof credit card numbers, IP addresses, and even home addresses. Earlier this year, the Pokemon Center implemented a virtual queue to slow down bot purchases and also added purchase limits in their store machines to deter scalping. The Pokemon TCG is currently experiencing shortages due to the unprecedented demand. Over the past 3 fiscal years, the Pokemon Center has imprinted 42% of all Pokemon cards ever produced, which is a crazy stat line. 42% of all Pokemon cards ever have been printed in the last 3 years. This is a 25-year hobby that has been running, if not more, if you include when it released in Japan. And 42% of all of the Pokemon cards ever printed has happened in the last 3 years. So that's a crazy number in of itself. However, the good thing about this is there are images circulating around that orders have been canceled. Now, these are some screenshots of orders being placed and successfully checking out, but there are also screenshots, I don't think they're in this article, but there are also screenshots of a bunch of people's orders getting canceled. So the Pokemon Center has canceled all 42,000 of these items that were ordered by mistake because the drop wasn't even supposed to happen yet. It wasn't a matter of, oh, the drop was due for that day and the botters got in on the day before everyone else. No, this wasn't even supposed to be live on that day. This was just they were loading the data into the system, getting things prepared for when they do decide to drop it. And it pretty much just turned around and was able to be checked out via these systems. Now, the other interesting thing when you go to PokeBeach is the fact that some of the other sets are being delayed as well. So, Phantasmal Flames release seemingly delayed in Europe, but not just Phantasmal Flames, also Mega Evolution. So, the Pokemon Center announced last week Mega Evolution has been delayed in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa by 2 weeks. The set will now release on October 10th instead of September 26th. Now, it seems there might also be delays for Phantasmal Flames in these regions as well. And this morning's Pokemon Center press release and social media accounts announced that the set will release on November 14th in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America. So it looks like Europe, Middle East, and Africa are the only ones affected by this delay at this point. Now, when you look at what's happened on the Pokemon Center website, there is always a chance that that drop gets delayed. But I think the wider drop in terms of the generic releases, so your Walmarts, your Targets, your Best Buys, wherever the product would usually go to your stores, I think they're going to be okay. But I think the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs are going to be delayed. I think they're worried about putting those up or potentially being botted again. So there is always a scary moment with those things too. But it really just comes down to, I guess, how quickly they can recover from this, implement some security to stop the botting happening, and vice versa. So that's the last thing you want, is for them to release it to the public and everyone still misses out. And they've realistically just done nothing but cancel the other orders. So that's pretty much everything on Phantasmal Flames. It is a really cool set. I am super excited for it, like a lot of people probably are, but there's so many things where the sets are getting increasingly difficult to pick up, right? It's not just the Pokemon Center stuff, it's the stuff in stores. You can't ever find Prismatic. You can't ever find the newer sets. Black and White, I mean, Black Bolt, White Flare, you can occasionally find. Anytime Prismatic drops, it's instantly sold out. Anytime the Mega Evolution goes up for pre-order, that's instantly sold out. Phantasmal Flames has been getting a lot of press at the moment, so it is going to be extremely popular, and I see so many people talking about it. So I think it's going to be even bigger than Mega Evolutions is going to be. So we're just going to have to wait and see where that kind of pans out to be. But I'm going to leave it there with this video. I appreciate all of you guys watching. Again, thank you to the sponsor of this video, which is, of course, PokeNotify. Now, PokeNotify works a little bit differently to these botting groups. They're not checking out for you. They're just informing you when products are going to release. So if you guys want to check them out, they are linked down in the description below. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next video.